Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pharmaceutical Soccer. I am extremely happy to be here with you. We are back. Nashville Soccer is here. We finally have a Nashville Soccer match to talk about. And so you know what that means. Valair is going to continue being a fun sucker for everything and not being fun like normal. Valair, do you care to comment?
I'm going to continue doing what?
Being a fun sucker. You're sucking the fun.
I mean, did you watch that game? That game sucked the fun out of anyone that was involved in it. Are you kidding me? Tell me you enjoyed that game? Followed by a World Cup final that also wasn't fun. So, yeah, I don't think I'm the problem here.
Anyway,
Valair
this was a reference. This is Clay speaking. Steven's making a reference to all of there's a very long discussion about Michigan and colleges right before this, which I don't know why, because it's not like Steven went to any of them, but that was right before we started.
I did go to one college in Michigan, thank you very much. It's called Schoolcraft College in Livonia, Michigan. I went there for 6 months.
Oh, shout out to Livonia. Pod? Shout out to the pride of Livonia.
That's right.
Justin Davis.
So Clay has a historical thing with all the colleges he's worked for and obviously where he went, and he worked in their sports and all that. I was recently, honored to be included in MTSU's little booklet thing. There's a word for it.
Magazine? The word you're looking for is magazine?
I don't know if it was a magazine or if I'm gonna be offending people if I called it a magazine. I don't know. I got to wait. I got in my head on that one.
Booklet thing. Magazine.
Ben and I recently Ben Wright and I got recognized for starting 615 Soccer. What is the College of Technical Craft in Livonia, Michigan gonna do for Steven Robinson is what I'm asking. Where is that? Text them. I mean, they probably exist still.
I mean, right? I don't even know. I guarantee you my records of even going to that school don't exist anymore.
How convenient.
I will tell you this. It was pretty cool when I had a classmate at Ball State move ahead of Papa John at Ball State a few years ago. Now, did she move ahead of Papa John for stuff she did or for stuff Papa John did? I'll leave that up to your own interpretation. But for all of us in the class of 2009, we were like, yeah.
Steven?
Yes.
How was your weekend?
Oh, hey, thank you very much for asking. Which, by the way, Valeria's been very mean since starting. Obviously, you weren't here for past other recordings, but then Clay just added on to the meanness. But it's fine. So thank you very much for asking. I had a good weekend. During the third place match, which now I'm mad at myself for doing just because, I mean, nobody even cared about it. I did go watch The Odyssey, which is awesome. It is really, really good. You should go see it. If you are watching it in IMAX, though, bring earplugs. It is very loud. But very good. Really liked it. And then other than that, lazy weekend for me. I got a couple big weekends coming up, especially next weekend. Not this weekend coming up, but next weekend's a big one with everybody coming to DC. But yeah, just kind of chill, hanging weekend and went and saw The Odyssey and then did some stuff around the house. So, Clay, what about you? How's your weekend?
We had some health stuff going on at the house, so pretty laid back. Played a little bit of Unstable Unicorns, which was fun.
There you go.
And speaking of unstable, that third place game, I will say this: Braden Gall's a third place merchant. I was in control into the final two games of the Golden Boot draft, and then he got 5 goals in the third place game from his team. And so I finished in second in the Golden Boot draft for 615. And unfortunately, guys, as Steven Robinson was, of course, no help, Pharmaceutical Soccer finished second to the other show. So sorry about that.
I also think how much Braden was fighting for the third place game to count was a little weird.
To not count.
No, dude, come on. I'm doing a bit.
He's doing a bit.
I know what to read. I read magazines sometimes, booklet things. But okay, well, the bid is gone.
I think we should have all gone back and decided that he was right after the fact.
Yeah, afterwards. Yeah. Just look up screenshots of his old text. But guys, no, my weekend was fun. I tried to go see the Odyssey. It was fully booked in IMAX anytime I could go. So I'm going to try to make it soon, hopefully. And
it's weird that it's booked because it's more of an oral tradition.
What?
It's a literary joke.
Yeah. But then also I watched the final, obviously, and I did watch that third place game. At some point, it just became a little like ridiculous where like everybody and the commentators kept saying like, oh, we never want this game to end. We want another hour of this. And I was just like, none of this matters. I'm not even enjoying it anymore.
I will say, like, even from like the time that I watched it, that annoyed me more than it was almost like they were trying to sell the third place game. It's like, I see what is happening in front of me. Like, this is ridiculous. And the reason it's like this is because nobody wants to freaking be here. Like, it has nothing to do with the quality of the soccer here. It's not quality.
Yeah, I treat it like I treat an Arsenal preseason game, which is if I'm around and got nothing going on, I'll put it on. And maybe 5 to 10% of what I see, I will actually take into the season. So that was my interpretation of the third place game. And these commentators are like, "Oh my God, this is the best thing we've ever seen." And it's like, it's just goals, bro. Chill. Like nobody's playing defense. It's fine. It was fun. I'm sure for new soccer fans, they probably enjoyed that. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a purist here, but I generally wasn't that like it was entertaining for a little bit, and then it kind of. I was like, all right, we're going to just keep doing this. Like,
I will say this, when it was 4-0, we were watching it with some friends at the house. I said, this is going to become a game because there's nothing more locked on as a bet than whoever comes in for Jordan Pickford shipping 3 goals. Yeah. It's happened every single time almost that his backup has come in for the last, 7 years. So I was just like, he's going to give up 2-3 goals. Doesn't matter. It happens every time.
He was really good, actually. I don't think the goalie had Henderson.
The second goal, if Jordan Pickford gives up that goal, it becomes a story.
Well, Pickford is bad, and we all know, and that's why he should not.
Yeah. The numbers definitely show that.
Yep, everything shows the eye test, the numbers, everything. And nobody from Everton should ever be included in any national.
By the way, just so you guys know, Everton has 2 of the G7.
I don't know what that means. I don't care to know.
Because the new Prime Minister of England is an Evertonian now, so that's England and Canada's Prime Ministers are Evertonians.
So they should have lost to Count Binface, though, but it's fine.
That's a different election.
Oh, well, I hope Count Binface wins it. Look, as you could tell, we are very distracted, just mainly in other conversation, just because there was 2 soccer matches that happened over the weekend. There was 3, but there were 2 that were, soccer matches that happened. Obviously, the World Cup final being one, and then of course Giotis. Let's kind of talk about. Let's start with the final. Just the World Cup final. I think that's probably just the easiest to kind of talk about. Of course, Spain winning the World Cup, which, mind you, I won all of my soccer brackets that I was a part of. Yay, go me, because apparently I was the only one to pick Spain winning the World Cup in all of my stuff, which was shocking.
Pharma Soccer, by the way, Spain winning, picked Argentina 3rd, picked England 2nd. It finished Spain winning, England 2nd, It finished. We picked Spain, England, Argentina. Yeah. It finished Spain, Argentina, England. Yeah, yes, I got it out.
So we were very close.
Yeah,
we were very close. And honestly, shout out to us for picking Spain.
I will say it's been very surreal because Spain is the first team to win it twice in my lifetime. Sorry, not in my lifetime. Since I started watching soccer, so France won it in '98 and France won it in 2018. But in '98, I was 3 years old. The game was probably on.
Good for you.
But yeah, so it's weird that since I kind of consciously knew what the World Cup was around 2002, That was the first World Cup I watched as a kid. From that moment on, there has been just new winners every time. Not new as in they've never won it, but for me, teams that I've never seen lift the trophy. So seeing Spain go through 2008 Euros, 2010 World Cup, 2012 Euros, winning 3 trophies in a row like that, then following that up with this run of 2024 Euros, 2026 World Cup, who's to say they're not going to win the Euros in 2 years? It's kind of incredible to have two different golden generations.
They're built for it.
What's that?
They're built for it. I mean, they're literally built for winning multiple trophies.
But these things change on a dime, and I do think that's worth remembering too. Like, Italy won the Euros. What was that in
2020?
2020?
No. Yeah, it was 2020, right?
It was 2020 Euros in 2021.
That's right.
Yeah. And then, like, it fell apart pretty quickly, and Spain had that big run where where everyone felt like it was setting up for like a generational run, and it was a really good run when they won in 2010. And then, it does, these things can change quickly, and I do think that is also worth keeping in mind. Like, so I do think that they are set up. I mean, the Spain team feels like it's loaded. Their best players are also very young, and it's easy to be like, oh man, this team is set up to go and do something. But then on the other hand, everyone else is doing their own thing too. And as good as the Spain team feels, that Spain Euros run was brought on by a 16-year-old. Like, the best player for the next Euros might not be someone who's playing right now.
Well, yes, but I will say in terms of a system and in terms of a country, there's no one in the world that's doing it like Spain right now. And I do say in the world because even the Olympics, they won gold medal, which I know is not like the biggest deal. Their women's team literally won the World Cup. They are the first women's and men's World Cup holders in the same time. You're talking about their youth groups. You're talking about their clubs, what they do in Europe. This is the most top to bottom, well-organized, well-maintained system that continues to produce talent at a level that we just haven't seen time and time again. Now, France has the talent. We know that. We know France has the systems that produce those talents. And for the longest time, France were the most talented team in the world. And I think to today, I will still say that France has more talent than Spain. But in terms of a system that brings the best out of players, there's no one in the world that's doing what Spain is doing. And I think that's what sets them apart. And that's how they beat France. Because pound for pound, player for player, I think France has the more quality players. But at the end of the day, what won was a system. I believe these players, these Barcelona players, Kubarsi's 19 years old, playing center back. When you look at Gavi, Pedri, all these players who maybe didn't even play a big part, but you look at Fabian Ruiz, you look at Olmo, who's a Barcelona player, Yamal. These are players that are coming out of these academies who know exactly what the DNA is, and they're achieving it. And it does help that they beat Argentina, who have become the villain of this World Cup. I think the more this World Cup has gone. So I think Spain is going to get some really good sort of, I don't know if publicity is the right word, but good marketing out of this.
Yeah. So honest question. When we'll talk about the Nashville game, like, this is a Nashville podcast. This is mostly going to be about the Nashville game after this. But 16th minute, 17th minute, I believe. I may be combining two different chances here. But that ball flashes across the goal on that quick free kick. How did you guys both think, oh, there's Argentina? Did you guys think that was it?
Yes, that, and then they had like half a chance in like the 80
on the turn.
Yeah. I think to me it was like a little frustrating because when Argentina did put on the burners and started actually attacking, it's like, oh, you do have quality. Wait a minute, all these players are really good as well. You have, these players that can turn it on, and I did think there is a chance for Argentina to get back on once that chance happened, but at the same time, I just know that Spain have the most clutch player in their squad, Mikel Merino, and when he's on, it's hard to lose, man. It's just hard to lose. So I am not even joking when I say he is so incredibly underrated, even with all the praise he's getting. I just love me some Mikel Merino.
Like I actually wasn't necessarily like, oh, here we go, Argentina is going to do it again, just mainly because of the fact that we're talking about two chances that they had. One that was like a really, good chance. Even when they were playing Egypt, it was like 10 before they even got it in the net. You know what I mean? They had one chance against Spain in the 117th minute. One. Like, other than that, I mean, and I think that's where like the orchestration of Spain and the organization of Spain is crazy, just the way that they're set up. They let in one goal the entire tournament. One. Yeah. And that is with an 18-year-old starting at center back. Like, that is insane. It just is.
I mean, I think that there's not enough words that you can say to like sort of say how good Spain was in this tournament. Their only blemish is a draw against a team that also put up a good fight against the other finalist. Right. That's their lone blemish, is a team that was actually pretty good. And typically every team has like their one like kind of game that bothers them in the World Cup. And so that's not much of a blemish. It's a draw. And so I don't think you can really, like, the Spain team was so dominant. Like, it's hard to really put into words how good they were in this World Cup. I do want to take like, I think like obviously Argentina was the villain of this World Cup for a lot of reasons. Certainly to a lot of MLS fans for the obvious, but like, it's the run that they did make to get to the final is pretty crazy when you think about it, with their best player being our age, well, my age, not our age. Thanks for reminding me of that when you talked about being 3 years older than 98 World Cup player. Thanks for that. I appreciate it. But that's an insane run. And I think that that's something worth remembering, even if it's like it ends in a really sad kind of crazy spectacle. And I think it's unfortunate that there's like a lot of focus that's been on that spectacle. Unfortunate for the Argentina run that happened, but also unfortunate for Spain because they had a dominant run, and that should be the main story.
Right.
But yeah, like it's really kind of a bummer that was what the final was. Because everything coming into the final, whether it's Spain's dominance or whether it's Argentina's sort of cardiac, like, comeback in the last minute, like, everything building up to that final. And that's kind of the way it happens, right? When you get to finals, it's like all the entertainment value, and then you get to the last game, and it's the worst game for both teams.
That's why 2022 was so special, because that final game actually lived up to everything people were saying it was going to be. And that's not the norm. I mean, you look at 2006, that's when that went to penalties because of a red card. Otherwise, and a penalty was scored in the game. 2010, Spain wins 1-0. 2014, Germany wins 1-0. 2018, there was a little more goals because France but France had that final kind of locked down within the first hour of it. So yeah, generally it's a lot tighter in the final. I will say I didn't think I was going to react like that, because honestly, seeing just the behavior of these Argentine players is disgusting. The way they handled the loss, the way they were during the game. If you want to do dark arts, you want to waste time, you want to be a little bit of a, stir of some sort of things, that's fine. I don't mind that. But it's afterwards is being such a sore loser to the point where you're punching people. You are literally tracking them down, hitting them. Like, I'm sorry, bro. That's just not how you should handle yourself as a professional player. That's not how you should handle yourself as a human being. Right. And look, much was made about the Falklands. Oh, they raised the banner about the Falklands and all that. While I get that's annoying to British people, and maybe maybe they shouldn't have done that, at least that's not punching people. Like, literally punching. I've saw one player and one assistant coach actually punch someone from the other team. Come on now, what are we doing? Which is to say, after all that, which I was really like angry about, and I'm not even a Spanish fan or player or anything, but I was just like, why are you acting like this? Why are you acting like children? seeing Messi cry when he got the silver medal, I was actually a little emotional for him, and I don't know where that came from. Like, I surprised myself. I was like, oh, that's kind of sad. I was like, but I don't know where that came from. Like, I'm not, I understand Messi's the greatest player, but like, I've never been like his biggest fan as like just Barcelona or PSG or Inter Miami. But so it was really weird because I think just seeing his reaction to it did bring up some emotional response from me that I just didn't expect.
Okay, before we start talking about Nashville, just a quick question. Does Messi play in Copa America?
Yes.
Does Messi play in the next World Cup?
Yes.
Which may happen in Argentina, which he may get a game in Argentina, if he does.
I think yes and yes. I think they hold on to it as long as they possibly can.
Before this World Cup, I would have said no. After I saw him do this World Cup, I think he plays till he's 85. I don't know. That team's whole identity is built around him. Is that we're doing this for Messi. That's how they get the best out of their players. And if they lose that, I honestly don't know if they can ever recover. Like that's how honest. Like that's how big of a deal this is.
He's still so close enough to being one of the best in the world that it's hard to see him losing enough in 4 years to not be there. So I'm still saying yes.
But we at least did have some exciting soccer happen on Friday. No, that's a lie. We had no exciting soccer happen on Friday night in Nashville. But as a Nashville soccer show, we still have to talk about it. So we're going to talk about that, everything else that happened in MLS, and we have another 2-week match to preview. We're going to do all of that next right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer. We are back right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer. You can find us at Pharmaceutical Soccer, though, at PharmaSoccer on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Of course, we want you to be a part of what's going on at 615soccer.com. Getting into the second half of the Nashville soccer season, you can imagine we're going to be extremely busy covering Nashville and this team. A lot of matches to come. We want you to be a part of it. So please make sure you join at 615soccer.com. Be a part of the discussion. Be a part of everything that's being written about. There's a lot of good stuff happening over there. Been a lot of fun articles, actually, to read even through the World Cup and just how Nashville soccer is affected. So please check that out. Help Valera get in more booklets.
Also, pharmasoccer.com for your merch needs. There's also 615 Soccer merch. So whatever merch you want, check out both pharmasoccer.com and 615soccer.com. And leave us a review and tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Because Clay and I were at the concourse right before the game. Got a few people stop by and say hello. So thank you to all of you. I don't remember any of your names. But, I remember the people I was talking to because they're people I know, but then the people who I didn't know who came up, thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. Maybe I didn't even ask you for your name because usually I'm good at remembering that. Also, shout out to Jacob, maybe. Ran into him at Buc-ee's on the way to Atlanta. So he saw me, Ben, and Christina, Ben Wright and Christina Moore, our photographer. And he was with a couple of his people, and it was nice to run into them just randomly at Buc-ee's, and they were like, "Are you going to the game?" We were like, "Yeah," and we talked a little bit, and big soccer fans. They were all wearing Nashville SC stuff. They weren't going to the game itself, but they were going to the fan zone, which I know a lot of people did, and they had painted their car with the flags and stuff. So it was pretty cool to run into them. And like I said, the people we ran into. So anytime you see us in the wild, please make sure you come say hi. If you're going to DC, you might see Steven Robinson there. He's a very famous guy there. Just make sure to see us in person, say hello in person, but also give us a 5-star review. And whatever you put in that review, to an extent, whatever you put in that review, we will read out loud here on this show. But it has to be a 5-star review. So please go out there and give us a 5-star review.
Would we read it? I feel like we would read a 1-star review, though, if we did.
No, absolutely not.
No.
you shouldn't do that, but
I wouldn't even give it the time of the day because I know how confident I am in my own skills. About you two, I don't know. But me, personally, nobody will give me 1 star.
This is the man that keeps on forgetting his listeners' names at Buc-ee's, but yes, that's fine.
Can I just say something? Hey, hold on. Let me just say something. I want to be wholesome for a minute. I just want to say, I said this on Twitter. We started this company a year and a half ago, and it started with a Zoom call. Obviously, Valair works for 615 in addition to us, but he started with us. And Ben had an idea of bringing us all together to start 615, and they had their own thing at Broadway, and it wasn't working. And it all starts on a Zoom call, and 6 months later, they're down there with a photographer covering a World Cup semifinal in Atlanta. And while the work is happening and done by Valair, Ben, Christina, but not just them, Chris, Jeff, Joel, everybody who's done stuff with 615, Ronan, I'm going to forget names, so I'm going to stop naming them. But while the work is done there, the reason that work gets done and the reason that these things do happen and the reason that credentials happen doesn't have anything to do with them. It has everything to do with people who listen, people who click, people who pay for subscriptions, people who buy merch, people who do all these things are the reason these things happen. And so that is you guys. And so the reason that these things happen isn't anything we do necessarily. It's things that you guys do. And so it's very important to us that you guys have all given your time and your money and your resources to us so that we can turn around and use those resources to do things like cover a World Cup in person, which is something I don't think we thought was doable 18 months ago. And that's something that did happen. So it's pretty neat.
And it's not just the World Cup, right? We had a full house in Austin to cover the Open Cup final. If Nashville's making the play, when Nashville makes the playoffs, we're gonna be there. I mean, come on, they're gonna have to lose every single game to not make the playoffs. It's like 9 teams make it, but this is. I think everybody would agree that they're getting their money's worth out of this, and without you, we wouldn't be able to do it. And it's not just about money. Again, it's a support. Is every like, it's every time you read the stories, every time you listen to the show. So thank you so much. That's enough. Let's move on. Let's talk about the main event.
How to make Blair cry.
That day is coming. And I think you two know why, but we're not there yet.
Yes. Well, I mean, I will say there was something that made it made me cry was having to watch this match on Friday night, to say the least. Definitely was a tearjerker of, yay, Nashville's back. 1-0 win for Nashville SC against Atlanta United. I will say Clay was probably the closest with his prediction. He just missed the, inevitable Shak Muhammed goal that was happening. But yeah, 1-0 win for Nashville. First, let's just talk about the vibes at Geodis. It was interesting. There was obviously weather beforehand, but a weird amount of like influencers and coverage and all that type of stuff with the match being on Big Fox. Which, by the way, you would still think that Fox would be able to fix the camera quality for MLS matches. Still haven't figured that one out. But other than that, the stadium seemed full. There was weird influencers in the space, which can I have that job of influencer, please? I've never gotten invited up to John Ingram's suite before. That's unfair. Why not me?
Well, because you're not an influencer, clearly. But the influencers didn't get invited to the John Ingram's. It was Freddie who got invited to John Ingram's suite, who is supposedly just a normal guy from Germany who wants to watch soccer. I'm not getting into all of that. What I'm going to talk about is let's talk about the influencers first.
So many.
Was that?
So many. Like people I've heard of, people I haven't heard of.
Well, I walked into training on Thursday and I was slightly late. So maybe I didn't get a briefed of what was going on. But generally you walk into training and it's, the media members that go to training, which is a selective amount of few. I know all of them. We talk all the time. And then I walk in and there's like 40 people there. And I'm like, what's going on? And everybody has like their cameras out. Jason Palacios doing like dances. Like Mukhtar's doing his salute to the camera. I'm like, what is happening? And it's like influencer day or something. So pretty cool. Honestly, I'm with it. Get those influencers in. I don't know if that was like an MLS thing or an Nashville SC thing, but either way, I think it's a good thing. Get people involved. I think the players were also enjoying it. They were doing some fun things, and those like little clips you see of like ranking things or whatever, and doing dances and all that. And so it's cool. It carried on into the game. They were kind of on the field ish, and it was cool to see that sort of a crowd that usually doesn't talk about Nashville SC. At the same time, I think a lot of us had the same feeling as Steven does of like, well, we're here every week, so like, what are you doing for us? Which is a very normal like human thing, and I think that's fine. I don't have an issue with influencers. I think they work really hard actually to get to where they're at. I think a lot of people have. I've tried to do the social media thing. Trust me, it's just not. I can't do it.
Monterey's favorite Iraqi influencer.
Yes, yeah. Like I attempted to do social media, and it honestly requires a level of dedication that I just simply do not have, do not care to develop. But I will continue to use social media. I like social media. I like being there. But I'm just saying, it's a hard job. That they earned their way there. They deserve it. I hope they continue to kind of do these outside things and continue to grow the league in that way. In terms of the Fox thing, I mean, that game, Geodis Park first, let's start. It was incredible. I thought it was sold out. It felt sold out. Sometimes it is sold out and it doesn't feel sold out, if you know what I mean. But no, it felt sold out. I think the fans really showed up big. And I want to give a huge shout out to the Nashville SC fans. Not talking about just the casuals that come into every other game. I'm talking about the supporter section, talking about the people at the tailgates. I'm talking about all these people who show up week in, week out. They showed up again. It didn't matter that it was a Friday night. It didn't matter that the World Cup was ending. There was no soccer fatigue. So when these new people came in, there were a lot of new people. Actually, I got a really weird, like really funny interaction. I was heading up to the stadium, like walking up, and this kid, random kid is running. It's like a small kid. And he's like, "Are you going to the game?" And I'm like, yes. And like his parents are behind him, or his dad is behind him. And he's like, "This is my first game ever." And I'm like, "Oh, cool. Like, your first game ever here?" And he's like, "This is my first game ever anywhere." And I'm like, "Cool, man, have fun." And like, I didn't see his dad at first. I was like, "Is there a parent with you, dog? Like, what are you doing?" His dad was behind him, and he was like, "Stop talking to this man," Like, and I was like, "I don't know." I just walked up. So it's cool. Like, and I saw so many people with like shirts that either like World Cup shirts or shirts that kind of looked like they just bought them because they just got here for soccer. So there were a lot of new people in there. The Nashville fans showed up really well, and I thought it represented that well. I wish the players would have, I don't know, had showed up to the same level. I wish the team showed up to the same level. But I do think overall, most, if not everyone who went there for their first game will walk out of that saying, "I'm going to come back again."
Well, we got in. Sorry, Clay, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, it was one of those things where it was like, it felt like it was setting up for a classic Nashville experience where it's like, you got the big crowd, you got the excitement. You kind of knew it was going to be a big crowd because there had been such a big layoff and there'd been a lot of buildup and a lot of people that were talking about, not just the influencers, like a lot of media people were talking about the game and the buildup to it. And you're like, oh no, are we going to see... Like, that's why I joked, Nashville's really good, Atlanta's really bad, 1-1 draw. And then you saw the injury list before the game, and then you saw the first half, and you were like, yeah, this is what I expected.
Well, it's still always one of those things it is nerve-wracking to me a little bit, and I think it's one of those things of having the largest soccer-specific stadium in the United States. It's one of those things that'll always be there, where you can have all this excitement and you can have all that type of stuff. Filling a 20,000-seat stadium is different. Filling a 32,000-seat stadium is completely different on that side. So
30,000.
30,000. To see the stadium completely full in just for that coming back, even on a Friday night where there was weather beforehand. It was gross out there in a lot of different ways. It was still extremely cool to see, especially coming back from this whole, World Cup break, all the excitement. And we thought Nashville really needed this World Cup break. We really thought Nashville, this was a time for everybody to get healthy and be ready to go, that we needed this to have a run push for Nashville for the second half of the season. Then there's 8 people on the injury list. 3 of that, multiple of them that were not on the injury list before. What happened during the World Cup break? Did everybody play like hockey and there was just a lot of slashing in the lower body? What happened?
It's classic Nashville, right? You come back from a long layoff and then you come back with a long injury list. You're like, oh, wait, I don't get to see the full team yet.
Right.
So the people on the questionable players, Reed Baker-Whiting, Christian Espinoza, Warren Madrigal, Andy Nahar, Jason Palacios, and Eddie Taxet. Those are the questionable. Now, the last 3, Andy Nahar, Jason Palacios, got to participate from the bench. Eddie Taxet got to play from the start. Christian Espinoza, Warren Madrigal, and Reed Baker-Whiting were not featured in the matchday squad at all, but they were listed as questionable. As you imagine, Patrick Yazbek still out, and Chris Applewhite is the other one that's out. I think for Jason Palacios and Andy Nahar, because we got to see them anyway play, I don't think there's much cause for concern there. The other 3, I genuinely have no idea. I think it's good that they are questionable, not out. All 3 of them were at the game, so we got to see them there. Well, I don't know about, we didn't get to see Reed Baker-Whiting, but the other ones were. So that's also, I guess, a good sign. All that said, I think
Baker-Whiting was there too.
He was? Okay. I just didn't see him with my own eyes. I'm sure there are pictures out there, but our photographer, Christina Moore, second mention of her this episode, she always takes a picture of the injury row, which is just where the Nashville SC players not dressed up sit. So there's always one in the folders. I just need to go look at it. And I think the injuries happen. Some of them happen probably because of the long break, honestly. I think when you look at a rhythm, it's so important. There's a lot of sports science that goes into, this player has played this amount of time, this amount of games, which is a lot, but at the same time, their body's used to this. Now, all of a sudden, you get a 2-month break, essentially, and maybe that, doesn't sit well with your body. We saw it in the first 10 minutes. BJ Callahan brought it up. 2 Atlanta players. One of them got substituted in the first 10 minutes. The other one, Miguel Almiron, sat down and was injured. So you have to kind of deal with that as it comes. And I mean, yeah, I don't know. We're not talking to BJ until after the Montreal game, so I don't have any injury updates. But I think that'll be I would be surprised if any of those questionable ones is actually a long-term injury.
Yeah, and I don't I think it's just interesting from the fact of we hadn't heard anything about. I mean, Espinoza was fine the entire first half of the season. There was no injury problems from Espinoza the first half of the season. Now he's on the questionable list and actually doesn't show up in the game at all. Reed Baker-Whiting did have a couple of injuries throughout. Yazbek, we kind of expected. There was even, Sam Surridge played the entire match. He was one that was still kind of coming off an injury at that, first half of the season, comes in the second half. Now, is it potential that he was still injured based on the play? Maybe. But it's one of those things that definitely came into the match. And you saw it from the lineup. You saw Shak Muhammed starting in the lineup. Defensively, Jack Mayer as a center back as well, and Josh Bauer needing to play that right back kind of standpoint. And it showed on that pitch for sure.
I think there might have been some tactical resting going on too, with Atlanta being pretty bad and there being a game Wednesday. I think that some of the guys who didn't play maybe are going to be fine to play Wednesday. Not that I am saying that they weren't hurt. I'm just saying that could be something that's at play. But
yeah, absolutely.
BJ said something along those lines as well. So
yeah,
you're not drawing from nothing here.
I will say this, and this is the thing that, first off, both teams look like 2 teams that hadn't played in 6 weeks.
Yes.
Crazy.
Putting that aside, there's not a whole lot you can take from that game other than it looked like two teams that hadn't played in there. But the one thing, and I'm going to turn this around back towards the positive here, with Shaq, with Shaq, and this is the thing, I can't tell you how many people I told this to in the first half, but Shaq's first half was a guy who just didn't have it. He wasn't making the wrong decision. He was usually making the right decision, but he was a step off. The pass was just not right. The guy didn't make the right run. He made the right pass. That was happening over and over and over again. And Shaq just happened to be in that. He was the fulcrum where it was happening. And it was so frustrating to watch because it was like, you just keep going through Shaq and it's just not working. Like, it's just not working. And it's nothing on him necessarily. It's just not there. And it was frustrating because, like I said, it wasn't necessarily that he was doing the wrong thing. It wasn't there. And you see that a lot of times, over the course of the season. If you see it in the middle of playing every day for like 6 weeks, you might see an early sub in that position because you're like, this guy doesn't have it today. We're going to put someone else in there. But when you see it the first time playing in 6 weeks, maybe you stick with it and maybe they have it. And I think that's what we saw in this game. And gradually, as the second half came into it, he found his spot, and then ultimately he got the goal. And I think, like, as a young player, like with Shaq, like as a young player, like that's my big takeaway from this game specifically. Like, that's a guy who did not have it and found his spot in a game, and then he got the goal. And he got the goal, by the way, on a ball that Sam missed. Like, Sam's going up he misses the header. Shaq's there behind him, puts it in the goal. Like, I mean, it was just like a perfect kind of capturing, like playing yourself into a game. And I just really thought the story for him in that game was really interesting.
That's how, and that's one thing BJ actually said they worked on with him, is him attacking the box, something he never did or didn't do as much. And they said they've been working with him on that. So the fact that he got that goal in that way is very important. But I do want to go back and talk about the right side a little bit. When you look at Josh Bauer, Jack Mayer, and even in front of them, Eddie Taxeth, who maybe just hasn't been as involved. Matt Corcoran kind of played on the right a little bit too. So I think with a lot of turnover, when you look at that side hasn't played with each other in that, like those players haven't played with each other probably ever, like in a game. So I think that also played a part in what Clay was talking about. I do think Shaq and Hani Mukhtar have a pretty good connection. We've seen it time after time. I think Shak Muhammed is somebody who's leveled up his game since coming to Nashville, but also a lot of that has to do with the environment. And he said that himself, and what BJ, the coaching staff, and his teammates are doing. So I really appreciate that about him and being able to be open to us, the media, when we asked him about it, because he said, yeah, BJ, gave me an earful in Mexico when I didn't track back. And what he said is that no matter what the next critique is going to be of him from the coaching staff, he doesn't want it to be the same critique. And I thought that was a really smart thing to say. He said, I'm not going to do the same mistake again. Maybe I'll make a mistake later, but it won't be the same. So I think that's like a really positive way to look at things. And I thought, and since we're talking about Eddie Taxeth, I just thought he was really rusty. I don't think he had his best game, and that's to be expected. He's been out for so long. He's been out before the break, right? So we're talking about guys who were out just for the break. So he didn't have a good game. Let's just be honest. Let's get it out of the way. But he wasn't detrimental. He didn't cause any goals, but I just didn't think it was his best game. But that's the best way to kind of get him back onto things since he's a midfielder, is to play him more minutes, and that's what's happening.
I think it's a blessing and a curse of of BJ's system, right? Because we've spent 70 to 80% of our play going down the right side of the pitch, right? Like that's where BJ likes to build up, because that's where Andy Nahar is. That's where Christian Espinoza is. It's very easy to build up on that right side of the pitch when you have those two players. It's a lot different to still continue doing that when you have Josh Bauer and Shak Muhammed.
Yes.
And it's great. I think you should be able to, no matter what, pick and place what person is in the system, and it still can still succeed. But as you can imagine, Josh Bauer is not Andy Nahar. I love Josh Bauer. I think he's a really good player. He's not Andy Nahar. Christian Espinoza is not Shak Muhammed. And then when you have that along with players that are rusty, where I don't think Qasim was necessarily bad, but I do think he could have had a few. He had the ability to shine in the match, and I don't necessarily think he did shine. I do think some of these players had the ability to kind of step up in those instances where there was weakness, but it just didn't really happen. But then you had Andy Nahar come on, you had Alex Muyl come on, and it added a little bit more, kind of variety to the match.
I was just going to say, like, the second that the A-listers got in there, the game class won out. I mean, Nahar enters the game. Suddenly Nashville looks miles.
Is it A-listers, though? I mean, it was Brian Acosta and Alex Muyl, with all due respect, but that's not
about Nahar.
Nahar is the A-lister.
When Nahar got out there and Palacios got out there too.
Okay,
and suddenly we went from having three of the normal starting back four out to having a normal, like what you mean, back four out there. So suddenly you have a base to build from, and Nashville goes from looking like kind of on the level with Atlanta to beating down Atlanta. And so I do want to say that, like, you saw the change happen pretty quickly with Nahar, but I wanted to focus specifically on Nahar getting out there, but also Muyl had a very, very good performance off the bench. And I think that is super important for Muyl, because I think Muyl might be the guy who is the most in danger of losing minutes in the next several weeks.
Don't fall into the trap. We've said that for 5 years.
I know that. Hey, me and Valaire are well on the record of being Muyl stands. Yeah. But I'm just saying the two guys that are most in danger of losing minutes in the coming weeks are Muyl and Acosta, and both of them came off the bench knowing that and did nothing to hurt their stock. And Muyl did quite a bit to improve his, other than probably should have taken a shot, because I think he probably should have had a goal. And I think it's crazy that we've gone this long without talking about Brian Schwake, who had
another really good game,
who had his save of the season, I think, at this point, and reminded everyone that if the season started 6 weeks earlier, he might have been at the World Cup and could have possibly been in the starter conversation. And I mean, that save that he had, unbelievable. That save is the only reason we aren't talking about it 1-1.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I just want to touch on Schwake continues to, and maybe he goes under the radar a little bit because he's been good since the start of the season. On the Ahmed Qasim point, I want to say, I think if Ahmed Qasim doesn't play the way he played the first half and like the second half when he was on, I don't think Muyl would be able to get that assist. He really worked that left side, Ahmed Qasim. I thought he really went at his defender multiple times. And at times in the first half, which was a really tough watch, he was literally the only one in Nashville's attack trying stuff, where everybody else was just kind of like, we'll just pass it. And I think that's kind of where his ability comes from. Now, it didn't pan out for him. It's not going to pan out for him every game. But I thought overall he was pretty good. And it kind of led
with with my point, I just wanted to be like, I wasn't saying he didn't have like a bad game. Like, he actually had a really good match. I think it's more like he didn't necessarily take the opportunity to. He tried something, but it didn't necessarily, complete, more or less, is what I was.
And I want to say it's kind of similar to Josh Bauer, and I've seen a couple comments online actually that surprised me, because they were kind of like talking about how bad Josh Bauer was, and I didn't think he had a bad game at all. Matter of fact, I thought he did defensively. I just think it's unfair because, yes, when Andy Nahar gets on, he's an all-star, and we shouldn't compare everybody to an all-star. That's not how it works, and that's not a realistic thing to do in soccer. So, yes, Andy Nahar was better when he got on, but Josh Bauer had an all right game, even a good one, I would say.
Josh Bauer's job is to be a fourth center back who is a replacement level right back.
Yes.
Yep.
That's his job. and that is exactly what he is. And I would argue that he's sometimes better than that at right back.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's normally our third string right back because normally you're going to have Reed Baker Whiting in that position all the time, right? Like and he did his job. Like there was no goals that went down his way. Like
by the way,
shout out.
I just want to mention it just because we have it. On the other side, I thought Dan Lovitz, I wish he would have been more involved in the first half, because in these games where you have Bauer on the right side, I want to see a little bit more out of the left side with Lovitz. And I think he was one of the bright spots in terms of getting the ball into dangerous spaces in the first half. And so, but I do think that he had an okay game. And I hope that, whenever he gets those moments, because he's not going to get as many in the current setup of this team, he's not going to get as many. Also, I think that it's a missed opportunity to not get him in with a cooking influencer to bring it back around to the first one. So get him in with some Italian cooking influencer. That is my request. I need a Dan Lovitz cooking video on YouTube. Thank you. I'll hang up and listen.
It wasn't great. Nashville still got the job done, but I think we can all agree that if we were going to have a match like this, we're very happy to have it against Atlanta United. Let's talk about Latte Lot having a wide open shot and
that man costs 3 Ake Lobas and is somehow worse.
3 Ake Lobas is crazy. I do think the schedule has been pretty generous to Nashville. I mean, Atlanta followed by Montreal, followed by Orlando, which Orlando away is a little different, but yeah, Atlanta and Montreal.
Montreal having an interesting, weird resurgence as well. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see.
You know how Hugo Kuipers got sold from Chicago to Monterrey?
Yes.
When I read that, I was like doing something, so I just saw the headline, and
you saw the CF.
So like, and then I was driving or something afterwards, so I didn't get to check my phone. And for like an hour and a half, I just thought he went to Montreal. And I was like, wow, Montreal really making moves. Like, they're really coming back, I guess. I don't know. But yeah,
I can do you one better about how MLS brained I am, Valer. During the World Cup final yesterday, when they kept saying Unai Simon, in my head, it was still translating it, speaking of Montreal, to Laurent Simon, the former Montreal center back. I was like, no, they did not say that. He's been retired for years.
He's not real.
All righty. Well, Nashville does have some transfers that we do need to talk about, some rumors as well. And then, of course, a 2-match week that we have to discuss. And we're going to do all of that next, right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer. And we are back right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer, last segment of the show at PharmaSoccer on our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Of course, you can also find us on 615 Soccer. We mentioned it. Leave a 5-star review on our podcast, on our Spotify, on our iTunes, on our podcast. Do it wherever. We'll find it. And if we don't find it, leave it on our Discord at 615soccer.com. We will read it on air. So, yeah, we love to do that. We love to read stuff on air.
If you're on our Discord and you don't leave a 5-star review, we are not reading it. You're on our Discord. You're committed. Go leave a 5-star review.
Told them. There was only a few MLS matches over Friday and
Thursday too.
Thursday as well. For some reason, Seattle just decided to get embarrassed at home, which was really funny. I mean, I guess you fire Philip Neville and your team is really good again. So that's something. LA Galaxy is bad. I don't know. Anything else MLS wise? I mean, we do have to talk about, you brought it up in the second segment. Chicago Fire has the Golden Boot winner and decides to sell them to bring on another striker, which is also great.
Is 8 years older than him.
How does that, I was having a conversation actually yesterday. How does that make the league look? Is it something that just you think Hugo Kuipers was looking to make the move anyways, and that was something that was going to happen, or what?
I think Kuipers was probably already looking. I think that they aren't related. or if they are related, they're looking for a replacement to begin with. And I don't think they signed Lewandowski and then decided to get rid of Kuipers. I think they were looking, and this happened personally because they were linked with Lewandowski wasn't the only striker they were linked with. It is unfortunate. It's a weird look, but also like it's weird. I don't really care how it makes the league look because honestly, it doesn't really matter to me. Like I'm tired of like trying to act like MLS needs to appease anybody other than themselves. But I just feel bad. Like if I feel bad for having to change your plans that much, but if it works out, like cool. And honestly, like just to go back when I said a few weeks ago, like it is genuinely very cool that Chicago has, a big name Polish player in a city that is
cool.
most
cool.
aligned with Polish folks in the United States. So like, but it does look strange. And I was kind of looking forward to seeing how they would work together in Chicago and how that would work. And if
and
it
all the
would work.
reporting said that was the plan. So all the insider reporting from Chicago Fire was that they've been actually playing two at the top for the last 2 months, preparing for this moment. So the last few games they had in MLS, the last handful of games, they were playing two at the top to the team's detriment, just to test out how it's going to look like when Lewandowski gets there.
But they were linked with another striker in addition to Lewandowski. I can't remember who it was.
I'm just saying they knew all along that they would have two of them, and they knew that. But I think when you have somebody come in and give you $7.5 million for a 29-year-old, you're just gonna have to take it. And I think that's exactly what happened. And my only, I don't know if you call it regret from this situation, I would have liked him to stay in MLS. I think there are teams that can use a striker like him in MLS, and I think it's kind of a lost opportunity. And that kind of goes into the whole thing of where the league rules make it really hard to keep these quality players in. We saw it with Mateusz Bogusz a few years back when LAFC had to get rid of him, and he went to Liga MX. Now he's back in Houston, but he had to go to Liga MX first. We saw it for Chicho Arango, also with LAFC, who had to go to Liga MX, then back in MLS. Now he's back out. Like, I think if there are mechanisms that make it easier for teams to get these players, which the cash transfer is already doing that, so I'm very happy with that move, but also to loosen up some of the rules to allow these quality players who are still in their prime to not leave MLS, but just leave their clubs. I think that will kind of be the next step of this.
If I were a St. Louis fan, I'd be pretty annoyed about it. Yeah. Because it seems like he could have gone to St. Louis if St. Louis would have ponied up, and they opted not to.
But who did pony up for a few players over this transfer window so far? That would be Nashville Soccer Club, as it looks like we did get one player officially confirmed and two players that are looking.
Two confirmed.
Two confirmed. Yes. One pretty much confirmed, just waiting for it to be done, and it happened. So let's run through them. Let's Elias Saad. Let's start.
Yeah, for Saad, he's German-born, Tunisian heritage player. Really interesting story. He started off playing futsal professionally, so it's a really cool story. He played throughout like the German pyramid, working his way up all the way to the Bundesliga. He's coming in on loan. There's nothing in the loan that says there's an obligation or an option to buy. These things might not be written, but they are said. So I don't know what the actual agreement is, but it's a pretty low stakes thing for Nashville SC. He did start 2 national team games in the World Cup for Tunisia, which is a pretty big deal. So that makes him the second Nashville SC player to have minutes at this past World Cup. And, he's a tricky winger who has a good free kick on him. So now that he's going to get to take them. But another German in the squad, and I think, Hani Mukhtar might be looking into that fondly. But like I mentioned, if things don't work out for him, it's a 1-year loan. It runs through the sprint season, which ends in May of next year. If things don't pan out, he goes back to his club. Nashville SC just were on the hook for his salary, which I think will be around TAM level. Other than that, I think it's a smart move, and we talked about it here last episode, literally, of like, this is not a need for Nashville SC. They don't need a winger, but does it make their chances to win MLS Cup better? Yes. So they went out and did it, and that, I think we have to give them props for that.
And it does look like he can also develop centrally as well. I think that was part of the conversation. So it does look like we might have that backup striker and goal presence that we were looking for. This, like I said, it may not have been a need, but these are the moves that a number one team makes to continue being a number one team.
Yeah. And as a big fan of Iliman and Jai, I always love a guy who starts in futsal.
There we go. Also, we are making youth moves as well. Is it Zidane Giannis?
Zidane
Giannis? Yes.
Yanez, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Probably Yanez. Or
Yanez. He's Puerto Rican, Chilean, born in the U.S., so I don't know. There's a lot of options for him.
Puerto Rico is part of the U.S.
Officially confirmed part of NYCFC's academy.
Born in New Jersey. Sorry. Puerto Rico is part of the U.S. I do apologize about that. But he does play for the Chilean youth national team. He has featured for the Puerto Rico under 15s and the U.S. under 16s, I believe. So really been all over the world. Young kid, 18-year-old. He's been with Huntsville since May. Has only played 11 minutes for Huntsville, which was a few days ago. So I think the plan was always to sign him permanently, but just came in as a loan. I don't know why. Sure, there's a reason for it. It's only $50K in GAM, but it can be another $250K can be added based on incentives, and I'm sure those incentives have to do with him playing for the first team, which I don't foresee us seeing. Maybe a Leagues Cup, but it might be until next year that we see him with Nashville SC.
It's the type of move that you see a lot of times in Europe where a guy goes on trial. He doesn't necessarily have a pathway at the club that he's on, so he goes on trial at another club and then moves for a meager amount of money because it's a flyer. You're so young. I mean, we've talked about it before, like whenever you sign these guys at 16, 17, 18, it's a numbers game. You're not, just because someone signs a pro contract at 16 or 17 doesn't mean they'll ever see the first team. You're signing a bunch of them, and only a handful of them will ever feature for the first team. So it's a move to keep your eyes on, and maybe it'll matter 2, 3, 4 years from now.
And then lastly,
yes,
it took you a minute, so I just switched myself.
Well, you can continue yourself, Hilaire. You keep going, buddy.
Okay. And then reporting from our guy Ben Wright, he does confirm that sources have said that Nashville SC will sign Famara Kamara, as we talked about last week. Last week it was a bunch of Scandinavian sources bunch of Scandinavian reports. Now we have it confirmed here on this side of the Atlantic from Ben Wright. 2.5 million transfer fee. Pretty serious transfer fee for a young guy. If you want to learn more about him, we talked about him last episode. Like I said, central midfielder, probably more of a 6, but can be developed. Young guy. So pretty cool to see Nashville still making moves in that market. And like I said, I don't know when we'll see that. He plays in the Norwegian 2nd division. I don't know when we'll see him here in Nashville, when that move will be finalized, but another one to keep an eye on as we go forward this summer.
Something that was awesome. Something that was, of course, right after we released the show, it's going to be officially confirmed. I will say as well, during the broadcast, it was kind of brought up via Andrew Wiebe, who had a conversation with Mike Jacobs, that it looks like those are the big moves that we are expecting for Nashville during the summer transfer window. Some other things may happen, but I would not expect for any other big are you not entertained already? I think this is kind of what we're expecting from the big signings, which they're pretty big from a team that's sitting in first place at the current moment. So it's really good to see.
Yeah.
And we're looking to stay in first place by playing 2 matches this week against Montreal and Orlando. Montreal having a little bit of a resurgence, just a little bit, not a crazy big resurgence, but a little bit of a resurgence after letting their coach go, and signing a bigger player or two in their transfer window time as well. And then Orlando doing Orlando things, I guess. I don't know. It's fun to come back
Orlando
to
signing a much bigger player.
yeah. Which do we see him, by the way, coming up over the
Probably,
weekend?
yes. So for Montreal, they drew Toronto 0-0, but Prince Owusu was suspended for that match. So he is their talisman. He has 9 goals, 4 assists so far this season. He's been the guy for them. Still, Montreal is not very good. They did sign Danny Pereira, like Steven was saying. He's Austin FC player, really good midfielder. But we'll see what happens there with them, and they'll be coming to Geodis Park, a place that Nashville has yet to lose in the league. Nashville have not they're undefeated in 9 league games so far, so this will be number 10 against Montreal if they can pull it off. I don't anticipate Montreal giving Nashville a whole lot of issues, even if Nashville played the same way they played against Atlanta. At the end of the day, this is kind of what good teams do and what great teams do, and it's just roll through and win and find a way to win. They did that against Atlanta, and I'd fully expect them to do that against Montreal. For Orlando, though, it is Griezmann. It is in Orlando. I don't know. That one is a little bit different. The weather in Florida is great this time of the year, as we all know. So we'll see how it feels like down there. But yeah, I mean, I think for them, they're looking to have some sort of a resurgence with Griezmann. They did sell Duncan McGuire to Houston, so that's one fewer attackers, but it's probably hard to find a place for him. They are a younger team at the back as well. They're trying to be a younger team. So they signed like 3 Brazilian youth players essentially that they are trying to develop, and now they have sort of the older guy in Griezmann leading the way. So still figuring out who they are. They still have an interim coach, so I would expect Nashville to also get a result there, maybe even win. But that one is significantly, I would say, harder than both the Atlanta match and the Montreal match.
Yeah, I think I feel pretty confident with the Montreal match being a Nashville win because, let's be honest, like that Nashville performance wasn't very good this past weekend. I mean, I think the way that I phrased it leaving the stadium was that's a game that good teams don't win and great teams win, but it wasn't a good performance. And typically when Nashville hasn't had a good performance, they've turned around and, taken someone to the woodshed in the next match. And I think Montreal is a pretty good candidate for that to happen to. Unfortunately for Montreal, I think it's just their number after a match like that against Atlanta. I do think Orlando's a tough one. Typically, I mean, not in all cases, but these big signings, a lot of times when they get in front of their home crowd for the first time, they do make for good moments. And I don't know. I just kind of think something's going to happen there, and so I'm a little bit less confident about Nashville going down there and getting the win than I would be in a different scenario. So I'm getting we're running long and you need to go straight into prediction message from Steven, even though he's not waving his finger wildly as he normally is when we get to this part of the episode. So at Clay Lassol on Twitter and Instagram, and follow Nashville Soccer Archive. We're looking for donations. If you have anything, Valaire's about to make a donation to the Nashville Soccer Archive. If you have things that you would like to donate, please let me know. I will get them to Vanderbilt. We've built a lovely little collection there, and we're always adding. It doesn't just have to be around Nashville SC. There are plenty of teams that predate Nashville SC, and I've talked a lot about those in the last week, actually, if you follow me on Twitter. So please let me know if you have anything that you'd like to donate. Now, as for what happens, like I said, I feel pretty good about that Montreal game. I'm going to go 4-1 against Montreal. We'll go 2 goals from Surridge, 1 from Hani off a free kick, and then let's go 1 from Palacios off a corner, and then I'll go 1-1 in Orlando.
Give me a goal scorer.
Own goal.
Nice. I love that. At Fuller Shibilla, anywhere you are on social media, I'm there. Make sure to follow. Please make sure to share my work and continue to read it. And I appreciate everybody who's been helping me out. I would be remiss to mention that Orlando does have to go to San Jose and play a 9:30 kickoff, 10:30 local time kickoff, 10:30 local time in Orlando. Sorry, so whatever. On Wednesday, and then follow that up by playing Nashville on Saturday. So, and the other thing I didn't mention about Orlando as well is that they did sign back Daryl DK, the Nashville assassin, who was very good against Nashville. He went second in that 2020 draft after Jack Mayer went first. So just keep
Jack
that in
Mayer
mind.
went second. DK did not go second.
Sorry, did I make that up?
Yeah,
yes. Who went first? Who was the Miami guy?
No longer in the league. Robbie
Robinson?
Yeah, Robinson.
Yeah.
Some Robinson.
Yeah. Okay. He went DK was 5th or 6th. I apologize about it. But regardless, he's a very good player. He just been unlucky with injuries. Went to England, came back. England is in Europe. I don't care. Anyway, score-wise, 2-0 against Montreal. Sam Surridge brace. And I will go with a 2-1 win against Orlando in Orlando from a Hani Mukhtar goal and a Christian Espinoza goal, because he'll be back by then.
At PH Stephen HD on all my stuff. I was going to go the opposite of what they were going, but Valera changed his tune and went with a Nashville win against Orlando. So now I don't know what to do. Do you know what? No, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to go 0-0 draw at Geodis against Montreal, just because, to stick with the boring. It's just one more match of boring, guys. Just one more. Because then Nashville's going to go into Orlando and win 3-0. With goals from Sam Surridge and Elias Saad scores 1 goal. Comes in the 75th minute and scores a goal in that time. So
we're all of us predicting a Sam Surridge brace this week?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
We're all different games. Thank you so much for listening to the show. We appreciate it. There's a lot to cover, so thank you for sticking around with us. We hope you enjoyed wherever you are listening to the show. Of course, we will talk about both of these matches next week and talk about what happened in them and see how close we were in our predictions, which we probably failed miserably, but we'll find out. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it, and we will see you next week.